To hit the cue ball straight, you have to strike it in the centre, and I'm going to be showing you how this little bit of card can help you do that, as well as how it's helped improve my cueing. This is Break from Life. Welcome back, and if this is the first time you've watched one of our videos, then it's fantastic to have you here. I recently came up with this idea, this little silly bit of card that'll help me find the centre of the cue ball every single time. It works because it's exactly the same width as a ball, and it has a few other features that has unexpectedly aided my game as well. Finding exactly the centre of the cue ball can be difficult, and this is just an aid that shows you exactly where it is. So here's my minute guide in how you can make this in under 10 minutes. You will need some card, a pen, a ruler, some scissors, and a brush in my case, because I'm going to make a hell of a mess on the table. Now I'm using a bit of card that I got from an Easter egg box, but you can use literally any piece of paper, anything will do. That centre bit I've drawn to start off with, you need to make that nice and wide so your cue goes through it without breaking it. And yeah, that's about it. We're making it as wide as a cue ball, and I'm going to leave all the dimensions in the description down below. There's a link to it. So once you've drawn it, you just cut it out like this, so you get this shape, and then you can just very simply cut a hole through the centre of it and just tape the ends together like this when you fold it all over, and I'm just adding a bit more tape to make sure it's extra sturdy, because this is a very weak bit of card. Now I'm just sticking a pen through it so make sure it's the right side. I'm going to brush the table, and that's it done. So here it is, and I've added a little bit more tape, as you can see along here, so it doesn't pull apart very easily, because you don't want it, because this will break pretty quickly, but you only need it briefly to show you very quickly what you're doing wrong. So I'm going to put it on my cue. Be very careful that you don't pull your tip off when you're taking it on and off. Just make sure that having this on your cue doesn't damage it in any way. When I started using this, I could very quickly see where the centre of the cue ball was, and that helped me a lot. And if you notice how I've rotated the cue to the right there, that isn't a great thing, and I talk about this a lot in our video, Cue Grip Technique. Check it out, it's on our channel page, along with a load of other videos that will help you dominate at the game. And why not make the commitment to becoming a better player by subscribing to the channel? If you want to use it to be your guide to striking the centre of the cue ball and improve your cueing, then do this. Set the balls up like I've done here. You want to be playing 5 to 10 shots with it, something like that, just to give you a rough idea where the centre of the cue ball is, and it'll also show you a few other things about your technique and what you can improve on with it. What you don't want to be doing with it is trying to play a normal practice routine or do something serious with it, because you can't really hit the ball low because it drags on the table a little bit, and you can't really see exactly where the cue tip is. So all it really tells you is where the middle of the cue ball is. And as I was explaining before, if you watch how I play the shot, you see I rotate the cue a little bit. Now I found this massively helpful because I was able to very, very slightly adjust my technique, and all it meant is I ended up cueing the ball a bit better, and I was cueing it more consistently. The balls were going more centrally in the pockets, and I had a better understanding of where I was playing the cue ball. It felt more accurate. What I do have to mention here is you need to be very, very careful with this sort of feedback. So I remember when I was 14, I sort of noticed that as I played the shot, I rotated the cue, and I sort of tried to stop this, and this made me play bad, and then I just was wondering, well, should I just continue to rotate it? And I didn't remember how much I was rotating it, and all I was thinking is how much I was spinning the cue, and this made my wrist go, play the shot in all different directions. I was so inconsistent, everything started going wrong for me, and this can very easily happen. I would suggest, if you haven't noticed any problem with the way you strike the cue regarding your wrist, then I wouldn't change it at all, because that's probably already working for you. As for striking the centre of the cue ball, I did notice I was hitting the cue ball very slightly to the right, and I was able to adjust it just a little bit. It was probably half to a quarter of a tip, and this made a little bit of difference. Now, when you've been playing the game for so long, similar to what I have, these type of adjustments are very difficult to make and consistently maintain. It can put you off in all sorts of ways because you're probably used to playing the shot with a very fractional amount of right hand side. So you just want to make sure that you're doing everything right. And I would always say with these things, if it doesn't work straight away in a lot of cases, within about 3 or 4 shots, if you haven't got it, then it's probably not going to help you and it's the wrong thing to do. If ever you change anything and you think, well, it's not working, but if I practice for a couple of hours it might start working, but it almost never does. And after this, like I'm doing here, I just play the same sort of 5 to 10 shots without this on the end of your cue, knowing a little bit more where the center of the cue ball is, trying to, like I did, I've stopped rotating it, I was just rotating it to the right a little bit. I've just fractionally stopped that, and I noticed everything started going in the pockets and I was cueing the ball. That's why I played these all the screw shots, because I noticed how much better I was cueing the ball. I think this thing's quite good because it does show you exactly where the centre of the cue ball is, and it's been a little helpful in other areas, showing me I was rotating the cue a little bit. What I think I'll do with this is just use it for about 5 to 10 shots before I practice it each time for a couple of weeks, just to keep me focused on what I'm doing on each shot. But I think there's far more gains to be made in areas like alignment or your knowledge in how to escape a snooker. And I explain a lot about how to do this in our video, Hit a Ball from a Snooker. But if you want to know more about alignment, I talk about this quite a lot in How to Stand in Snooker. And remember, don't just watch, play, and make the commitment to becoming a better player by subscribing to the channel. See you later.